Hello, hello, hello. Is there anybody out there? Just not if you could hear me. Is there anybody home? Relax, relax, relax. This is a one shot. It's called Civil Wars Choosing Sides, and its cover is far better than most of the stories inside. This is an anthology title. It has got 5 stories in it. 4 of them are previews for upcoming books that Marvel were going to put out afterwards. And one of them 4 as the first appearance of what was a significant character until Marvel decided to bury him. The first story we have is illustrated by Leinil, who also did the cover, and it has probably the best art of the bunch. And the story, it stars Venom, but it is mostly Venom out of costume, and it is also not the Venom you want to read about. It is not Tom Ardley, it is Scorpion Man. And so straight away I find I have to explain why Venom was somebody else. And I think the logic behind it was valid. Venom, he was a great Spider-Man bad guy initially. But they quickly squandered that by making him into a solo star and a pseudo-hero, and giving him his own title and his own stories. And Venom became a bit of a laughingstock, really. So after 10 years of Venom being kind of rubbish, there was a spark of genius in the Marvel office. And Matt Miller went, hey, why don't we have somebody else be Venom so Venom can be scary bad guy man again? He opted for Scorpion Man because I guess Scorpion Man was one of Spider-Man's few rogues who hadn't been developed enough that having him do evil things as Venom would be out of character. The new Venom didn't get much traction. The best use of him was probably in Beyond, where he is depicted with a scorpion tail, which I think personally should have stuck to incorporate some part of who Scorpion Man was before he became Venom, and to make him unique next to classic Venom. But it is here where this version of Venom finally started getting some major focus. And unfortunately, it was not good. And it sabotaged the purpose of a new Venom. This story is showing us how Venom joins the Thunderbals, which definitely is a worthwhile bit of admin to show. And here are Song Girl and Radiation dudes. They have come to recruit them. But the problem is that the next 2 big writers to handle them make them into the biggest chump around. The other weird thing is that this Venom story isn't written by someone involved with Thunderbals. So I don't know if it's really as important as it seems. Our second story is likely the pick of the bunch. Here we have Robert Kirkman from The Walkie Zumbas and Invisible, and he is presenting us with a new character. It is the third, and by my marks, best Ant-Man. This is Derek Sullivan. This is his first appearance. And he is the best Ant-Man because I didn't really like Ant Gordon as Ant-Man. All these stories tie in with the Civil Wars crossover, which I didn't think I have once explained, and I am not going to explain it now. This little story is in true Marvel Comics Presents fashion. It is a sampler and a preview for the ongoing series by this writer and artist. We actually have a rather fresh use of the powers. And this is something that I never picked up on until one of my viewers pointed it out to me. This Ant-Man, he uses his powers often to save and rescue rather than fight bad guys. But of course, the thing that stands out most about this Ant-Man is that he is meant to be an unlikable pervert. At least when he first gets the powers, which are now available through a high-tech Ant-Man suit. Within the first few issues of his series, he famously uses his shrinking power to spy on Miss Marbles in the shower. That is Karen Daggers before they ruined her by making her into Smelly Brie Larson's. Many people despised the character for stuff like that. And even this ends with him ganning to perv on girls in the locker rooms at the gym. But that was part of the character arc. You take this scumbag and over time he matures and learns to be a better person. Most people hated him from the get-go, which was the point, but they hated him to the point where they didn't care about any redemption and definitely any validation. The character did have an impressive stint though. After his series ended at issue 12, he was immediately added to the cast of Avengers Initiation, and after a year or so on that, he was promoted to being a member of the Thunderbirds. And I have reviewed an issue of that, which you should go and watch, because I explained that iteration of the team in that video, and eventually that is important for an Avengers story that I will be doing. And now, with these cutaways, I finally think I can do it justice. And then after that, he was promoted again to being a full-time member of the Avengers. Throughout all that, we have his character continuing to slowly grow up and become more heroic, or at least know right from wrong. Then, after successfully pushing this new character for all these years, Marvel spitefully killed him off, largely because he was created by Robert Kirkman. I will talk way more about this wonderfully one-of-a-kind character in another video. I just wanted to give a quick overview here. Our next story stars Daredevil, and it is not bad, but it's not much of a story. This is continuity cleanup, and it is meant to explain Daredevil's appearances in Civil Wars. The Daredevil that we are seeing here, it is not actually Daredevil at all, and instead it is an imposter. What happened was Michael Brian Benson ended his run on Daredevil with the character sent to prison. Always nice to leave a character and a title in a lurch like that. And the next run picked up on that with Daredevil in prison. We had a problem though in that between the two runs, Civil Wars happened, and during Civil Wars we saw Daredevil several times, often talking specifically about the law, as if he is regular Daredevil, which is the one thing they ignore. So we find out that the Daredevil in Civil Wars was Iron Fist. We get a little bit of that in Daredevil Series 2. We see the real Daredevil and him fight, for example. And here we see Daredevil asking Iron Fist to take over for him, defending the streets, while he is vaguely busy. I actually always thought that there was more of a story here. Not much, but I think we should have seen a slight bit more of this replacement Daredevil, or at least see him fight Bullseye Man, or one of Daredevil's regular enemies. As continuity cleanups gone, it's fine, but it feels a bit wasted. This is a preview for Iron Fist's ongoing after this. It is all downhill from there. We have a story starring U.S.Agent, which by rights I should love, because I like this character. But for starters, it is told in that awful style Jason Byrne began in an issue of Fantastic Force, where there are two stories at once, the top half and the bottom half. With this, the top half is set in the present, and the bottom half is set in the recent past. Fucking terrible reading experience. And I, like I imagine many others, read through one half and then go back to the start and read the other half. That this is the preview and set up for an appalling Alpha Strike series is the other trouble. He has been rearing his dome-shaped head a lot in these videos, but Michael Brian Benson, he killed off Alpha Strike off panel. I didn't even have a picture to show it. It happens off panel. He obviously thought that Alpha Strike was shit, and so he wants to introduce his own version of Alpha Strike that he will never actually write, and palm off on one of his friends who mainly get work because Benson holds the doors open for them. This is not Alpha Strike, even for a moment. It's not just that it's not Alpha Strike either. The characters are written atrociously too. I mean, there is a character who is defined by having purple skin, and here it is coloured magenta. Outside of this preview, in the series that spins out of it, U.S.Agent is treated like dog shit. He is written as racist towards Canadians and Native Americans. He is a punching bag. And there is a bit where Spider-Girl's daughter doesn't know who he is, even though he is like an uncle to her. Bad, bad, bad. Our fifth and last story is Harvey the Duck. I have owned this issue just shy of 15 years now, and I have read it many, many times. Basically, whenever I read one of these books that spin out of these previews, I go back and read these previews first. Well, in all that time and all those rereads, I have never once gotten beyond 2 pages of this Harvey the Duck one. Not much to recommend here, except if you want the first appearance of an Ant-Man that Marvel got rid of, or if you want the Iron Fist story that they never include in collections of that Iron Fist run, or in Daredevil collections either. There is nothing amazing here beyond the debut of the new Ant-Man. They didn't collect that story in the hard trade paperback they have of his series either. This is a mixed bag, but I think a mixed bag is probably what an anthology title should be. So for that, I will give it a 7 thumbs up.